Sam Chambers, the editorial director of Asia Shipping Media. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. How common is this, going back to that ship that sank with all the cattle and dozens of people on board? Is it common for a large vessel like that to sink in this way, losing so many lives?
It's not at all common, but this happens to be a particular segment of shipping that has a very bad safety record. They're known as livestock carriers, the ships that carry cattle and sheep around the world, and they have a very poor safety record. They are among the oldest types of ships sailing today, and one of the problems in their design is that they are very top-heavy, which does not help when there is what the sole survivor said, a freak wave hit it. So they do have a poor safety record.
And I mean, this is an absolute tragedy to lose 6,000 animals and 43 crew lives. And now it's a question of who, if anyone, could take responsibility for it. Because correct me if I'm wrong, maritime law is often very vague and kind of shady, and it's hard to get the various companies involved to take responsibility for tragedies like this.
Well, it will be a long, drawn-out process. Because it happened in Japanese waters, there'll be Japanese investigators. It's a Panamanian-flagged ship, so there will be Panamanian investigators going to the scene. But Panama itself, their investigators are going to be having a very busy few months because there is a super tanker off Sri Lanka that caught fire today. There is the Wakashio bulk carrier off Mauritius, which is also registered to Panama. So we won't have any idea how this accident happened for at least a year. That is typical. It can be a year, it can be even 2 years.
And then explain how New Zealand factors into this. I mean, that ship left New Zealand. Some of the crew members on board were also New Zealand nationals. The cargo originated from New Zealand, but now you're describing Japan and Panama as the main investigators in this. How does that square?
So the New Zealand crew on board were very likely to be vets who are there looking after the animals as they are in transit. There is, a long history of New Zealand exports of animals and indeed dairy products to China, but they would not be involved in the investigation of this particular accident.
Okay, but what about the company behind it? Whose animals are these? Who's paying this crew?
So the company is a company called Gulf Navigation from the UAE, and in turn, they would have had the ship on charter to a New Zealand outfit. And Gulf Navigation actually, in the grand scheme of things, has a perfectly fine safety record. Livestock carriers are not their speciality, but they will be very, very much under the microscope now.
Sam Chambers, you are extremely clear and articulate, but now I'm left with more questions than I even started with. This is extremely complex and confusing and disturbing at the same time that this kind of tragedy could be so clouded by all the players that will be involved now in this investigation. Thanks so much for joining us there. We greatly appreciate it.